Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Manmouth. Got a nice handful of people here to talk about the great American pastime. And first and foremost, we'll go to my right, Candy Ebley. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
And George Eichhorn is back.
Hi, good to be back on. Welcome to the show, everyone.
And Rick Curdy inserts in as his normal spot. Welcome back, Rick.
Thanks, guys.
And last but not least, Jordan Long. Welcome back,
Thanks.
Jordan.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
So in this show, we're just going to talk about mainly opening week storylines. We'll get to the rule changes probably next week, but there's some unique ones that kind of stood out. So I wanted to pick a few of them out. So with that said, and we also encourage the activity in the chat room as well. So for those of you that have an opportunity to go ahead and do the chat, that's great too. I should point out that the audio version of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Send topic ideas to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com. If you want to advertise, call 954-304-4941. We are live here on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. All right, well, we have 4 great topics and some parting shots. So without any further delay, let's get to it. First one here, the Tampa Bay Rays pulled left-hander Jeffrey Springs from Sunday start after he shut down the Detroit Tigers across 6 no-hit innings. He dominated the Tigers, throwing 81 pitches, racking up a whopping 12 strikeouts. He had 13 swinging strikes, including 9 with his changeup. All right, Rick, I brought this topic in here for you because I know you love talking about this one.
Oh, what a shocker. Kevin Cash took a guy out throwing a no-hitter or pitching, doing well. Remember, we have to save him. We don't want to injure him, because our analytics department said we better take him out just so he can be safe. I am so tired of this. Him and Dave Roberts are complete imbeciles, okay? This analytics has gotten so out of control. I don't have a problem with you using it as a tool, but you can't be using it at certain times. It's the first game of the season. My goodness. There's 160 something more to go. Let the man pitch, for Pete's sakes. Why do you continue taking people out? I would love to have seen Kevin Cash and Dave Roberts during Nolan Ryan's era. Can you imagine him going up there taking the ball out of Nolan Ryan's hand during Nolan Ryan would knock him out in a heartbeat. He'd knock him out. So this needs to stop. It's annoying. It's the first game of the season. He cost the Rays a World Series because of his analytics. Okay, so he needs to stop this. Someone needs to tell him this. But I'm so tired of it. So first game of the season, you already take him out. What's up with that?
Well, that's why you led off with this topic, because I know you're going to rant on it. I know my personnel well. With that said, Jordan Long, what do you think?
I have to agree with Rick. I mean, it is the first game of the year. His pitch count wasn't even 100 pitches, and he's has a no hitter. Why take him out at that point? I get it if it was later on the season because you want to save him, but it's the first game of the season. Let him pitch. Again, I agree with Rick. Why take him out at that point? Let him pitch and see if he can complete the game. Like Rick said, I would agree with him. If Nolan Ryan was going to be, have a no hitter and take it out in the 6th inning, he would fight for it. This guy didn't because he knows there's so much more left of the season. But still, it's ridiculous to take him out with 80 some pitches, not even 100. He shouldn't have been taken out. He should have finished the ball game.
George?
I'll have to disagree. Take a look at the way pitchers are brought along in those 5-6 weeks of spring training, fellas and lady. And you will see that nobody goes 6 or 7 innings in a preseason game, which means they're working their way towards their regular season and their goals. So, no, I think for the obvious reasons, you're not going to leave a pitcher in that long. He has not gone that far in spring. And furthermore, there's plenty of other games. Okay. So I know that you want your no hitter, but that early in the season. Now, I will grant you this: he's not pitching in any inclement weather, it's dome controlled. So I will grant you that 70 degrees or whatever they have the temperature set at in there. The only other thing I would say is that, yeah, it's a bygone era. Scott and I can remember a guy named Jack Morris going into a cold, windy Chicago's old Comiskey Park in early April of 1984. Jack Morris, and no, Sparky did not take him out. But look, how many years ago is that? Come on. 39 years ago when that was prevalent. I just don't think we should heap everything on Kevin Cash at this moment. I'm sorry.
Candy?
So I'm kind of in between, because how many pitches do they throw in warm up? How many pitches have they thrown in? You talk about, George, the start of the season. Yes, of course it is. And they've been pitching for 5-6 weeks. You can't tell me they didn't start throwing before they started even training camp. A lot of them are throwing here and there. They've thrown for their careers. Yes, maybe not as hard, but it's a game and you want to win each game. And I get it was only the 6th inning, but like you said, it was dome. The climate was controlled. Yes, if you went to the player and asked him, of course he's going to say, don't take me out. My question to both parties would be, have you thought about how was he tired? How has he been feeling in spring training? It was, has his arm had any tingling, or did he have any signs, of anything before that? Because that's the real kicker. Like if he's already feeling a little bit of something, then yeah, shut it down, protect him from himself. But if he's feeling good and everything's flowing, let him go a little bit longer, push the envelope a little. Kevin Cash said, sometimes we got to protect them from themselves. Totally respect the magnitude of throwing 6 no-hit innings. Kind of gut-wrenching. I apologize to him, but I felt like sometimes we've just got to make some decisions that are best for the team. Tough spot that he was in so early in the season.
The thing that I wonder about, George, is I wonder how Sparkyanderson would have managed in this era compared to what he did back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Secondly, the thing that people have to be conscious of, the 5-man rotation versus 4. So I think another inning or two would have mattered? No, but now, by the same token, Don Mattingly told me, and we had numerous conversations on this, that 6-7 innings for your first outing isn't bad, and maybe a 2 or 3 start build up until they're able to go longer. And the guy pitching tonight, Sandy Alcantara for the Marlins against the Twins, to me is an innings eater. So, Don Mattingly usually would take 1 or 2 starts to kind of build him up, because after all, spring training is what it is. So I could go both ways on this, but the kicker here is a 5-man rotation versus a 4-man rotation. And that's the thing that I often wonder about. But, we all know Kevin Cash has done a lot with nothing with the Tampa Bay Rays. He really is. This guy can make a small market team look relevant, considering they don't spend a lot of money. So
exactly. That's why I don't want to come down.
But, Kevin Cash is anything but Billy Martin. So,
right.
Who would burn pitchers out. But, I can see it both ways. Different era, different time frame for sure. So with that said, we'll go on to the next topic. I thought this one was really, really interesting, and that's what we're bringing in. The LA Dodgers have a fan who went viral for his proposal gone wrong on opening day, won't be returning to Dodger Stadium for at least a year. Ricardojuarez was tackled by a security guard while proposing to his girlfriend, Ramonasaavedra, on the field during the Dodgers season opener versus Arizona on Thursday. And by the way, you know what? She did say yes, and the wedding will be held in August, and I'm sure that they'll have no problem getting social media involved to try to help them put together an event. So, Rick, do you think the Dodgers went a little bit too far? I realize it wasn't quite planned when they jumped on the field, but, I've seen ways to ban people, but do you think maybe the Dodgers went a little too far on this one, Rick?
Absolutely not. You have to be safe these days. I mean, we have mass
Right.
shootings everywhere we go. People are not safe, and you have some idiot, and he's an idiot for running onto the field. He should have been banned for life a whole year. Give me a break. You don't do stuff like that, and he knew not to do that. And now look at him. He's all over social media because you know why? We make stupid people famous, and he's a stupid idiot. He should be banned. You know, he could have done it on the Jumbotron. He could have called the Dodgers up and say, hey, I want to propose to my girlfriend. Can you put it on the Jumbotron? And she could say yes. And we could put it on social media and all. Oh, yeah, no problem. We could do that because it's been done before, you know. We have Kiss Cam and all that stuff. So that could have been done like that. For him to do that, I mean, you don't know what he's going to do. He could pull out a gun. He can and I'm glad they tackled him down. That was a great tackle by that security guard. And he should be banned for life. That's just so stupid to do and so reckless and so selfish to do. And just to halt the game like that because you want to propose to your girlfriend. You know, next time I'll tell this chump, go elope.
Okay. Well, I've actually been down the elope path before, but I didn't do it with Candy. So,
Or get a cat like me. I have a cat and I'm very happy.
if you're going to elope, though, I'll tell you one place which is a good place to do it from experience. Go to Lake Tahoe, California, or Nevada. That's a great place. But all right, Jordan, go ahead. I know I can't help it, but
I completely agree with Rick. You cannot go on the field. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw him getting tackled was, why didn't you tell the Dodgers that you wanted to propose to your girlfriend? Like Rick said, do it on the Jumbotron. But going on the field just isn't necessary. That's not a place for fans. Yes, he's getting a lot of social media over it, and it's going viral, but you still can't step on the field. You don't know what he's going to do. Yeah, it was an innocent proposal, but what if it could get worse? You have to think of player safety and fan safety at that point.
George.
Yeah, we got a comment, Scott, from Will Vogel. He says you could have gotten killed or seriously injured, and that's true. I mean, like you guys says, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, he knelt down, but he could have been kneeling down to start a firecracker or an M80 or a mini bomb. I mean, we don't know what he was going to pull out of his jacket or coats or pockets or whatever. So I don't blame the security for pouncing on him. I really don't. And there's nothing wrong with, like you guys said, going through the regular avenues. The teams that are most cooperative to do those proposals. I mean, I don't know all the details. I don't know if they'll charge you for it. They probably, I don't know how that works, but they can't do one every game, nor do they ever do one every game. But I mean, if he had worked through the proper channels and talked to the Dodger officials, maybe not that game, obviously, but maybe another game, they might have worked something out with him. But now he's banned, and but I disagree with you, Rick. You don't ban a guy for life. He's a Dodger fan. I'm 1 year is fine. I'm going to let him back into the ballpark in 2024.
Okay, Candy.
Had you gone through the proper channels, maybe you could have done it before the opening pitch. Maybe you could have done it 7th inning stretch, break. I don't know, but going on the field, that is irresponsible. And because I don't care who you are, you can get hurt. You can get players hurt. You don't, in today's society with mass shootings, with all the other stuff that goes on, you just can't do that. You're disrespecting the players that are on the field. We pay them lots of money to be on that field. You just can't do that. There's no place for it. Do I think he deserves a lifetime ban? No, Rick, I think that's a little harsh, but I see a ban for like the year.
Hard labor. Russia,
Yeah,
hard labor.
I'm not. I knew you were going there. I'm not touching that one. The one incident that always stood out to me was when Monicaseles was attacked on the tennis court. That to me was a very dangerous situation. Do I think, I thought about Monica when that took place. So, and I think she was emotionally scarred. I don't think she was ever the same tennis player after that situation took place. But a year is probably plenty for sure. So, and again, you have to take players' safety for sure. So, all right, we'll move on to the next one. We got LA Angels third baseman Anthony Rendon is suspended for 4 games because of a fan altercation against the Oakland A's on opening day. Angels lost the game 2-1 despite Shohei Ohtani's 10 strikeout performance. and he accused the fan of calling him a slur. Well, let's not kid ourselves, George. I'm going to lead off with you on this one here. Everybody remembers the malice of the palace, okay? So we're certainly trying to make sure they avoid future things like that, aren't they?
Yeah, again, it was a dumb thing to do. He should have known better. You don't start fans. You don't start arguments with fans. You don't start fights with fans. You don't abuse fans. Going back to what Candy just said, I mean, we're there and they're there to perform at the highest level, okay? But the fans coming in, as long as they behave in the stands, obviously, have the right to express their opinion. So if he was called out, he had a lousy game. I looked it up. He didn't get a hit or anything. And if somebody was abusive, that happens. I mean, we have that when we trade guys or when guys leave town and then come back. But violence or getting into a shouting match with a fan, or like you said, Scott, that terrible, terrible incident in Detroit and Indiana history, the malice at the palace, just Ronartest went berserk and, it was just horrible. But I mean, thank God they didn't have this, but even a one-on-one like that with a baseball fan or any sport is uncalled for, and he deserves a suspension like he got.
Okay. I'm going to back it over to Candy. What are your thoughts about this one?
As a professional athlete, you cannot let, and I understand if there was a racial slur, how that would hurt, but you cannot let the emotions get the best of you and sink to their level, because you have to just ignore it. You just have to ignore it and go on. He let his emotions get the best of him. They have since apologized to both each other on the phone, I've heard. The funny thing is Rendon says he goes to sporting events and does the exact same thing. He likes to heckle. So if you like to heckle, you're going to get it back. Learn how to control your emotions then, because it's going to happen.
Okay, we'll turn over to Rick.
It should have been a 30-game suspension. I saw that video. He grabbed that guy by his shirt collar. The guy, he called them, a female dog. That's what he called them. All right. You get paid millions and millions of dollars. Okay. And I'm so tired of these athletes with these paper tissue emotions like LeBron James and Kevin Durant, who get so angry, who go on Twitter and yell and scream at fans because they tell them you suck. I mean, my God, I wish I could get paid millions of dollars. Someone told me I suck. You just ignore people. I get told I suck every day at work, and I'm still there. So, I mean, it's like, just grow up. Rendon is a troublemaker. He likes drama, and it's all about him. The Angels just need to get rid of him. He is a complete clown. And as Candy says, he does the same thing at sporting events. So, hey, I mean, it's like Caitlin Clark, hey, can you see me? Come on. It's like, you got a dose of your own medicine. He didn't say anything that bad. Grow up, move on. You don't see Mike Trout. You don't see Ohtani. You don't see any of these other athletes. But Rendon it's going to happen again. He needs to control his emotions, go to anger management, but it should have been a 50-game suspension.
Jordan.
You can't let your emotions get the best of you. I mean, I know he grabbed the fan, like Rick said. I don't know if it should have been a 30-game suspension, but it should have been higher than it was originally 5. We got reduced to 4. The thing about the fan is he's going to heckle. You just have to ignore it and move on. If it's really that bad, go get security so they can move him. That's what he should have done rather than getting into it with the fan.
Oh, the only thing I'll say is there's no question that Anthony Rendon was way out of line. I was hoping he'd get at least 15 to 20. I mean, 5 was even too small. But I guess it makes us, George, feel very thankful that we're in the press box. I don't have to interact with the fans anyhow, because
yeah,
sometimes, with all due respect, you don't know whether or not they've had a couple of extra beers, what kind of a mood they're in. And, sometimes they do tend to cross the line a little bit. By the way, we're very happy that we have some activity in the chat room. Brian Snow, thanks for tuning in. Will Vogel, as always, thanks for tuning in as well. So, yeah, I could have seen Rendon get 15 to 20. 4 is way too soft, that's for sure. So, all right, final topic of the night. Then we go to parting shots. Okay, Rob Manfred, non-committal on robot umps. So he's focusing on this year's rule changes. So with that said, Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, I hate the robot umps. I mean, I understand all the rule changes. It actually made the game a lot faster, like an hour faster. So people are still complaining, but whatever it is, I don't like the robot umps. I've seen a game. I went to the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. They experimented with it. It's a pause. He gets they tell him on the computer that he has an earpiece, and it's horrible. I mean, it's like, it's too high, it's a strike. If it's too low, it's dumb. They need to leave that up to the umpire. Maybe they can talk to the umpire and make the strike zone more consistent instead of one having such a high and low strike zone. Maybe something like that. But the robot umps, I don't like it at all. It takes away too much of the human element of baseball.
I want to mention one thing about Will Vogel said. It's pretty funny. Rendon needs to go in the IL for hurt feelings. Yeah, I guess there's a chuckle out of there when you think about it. I mean, hurt feelings, but Will comes up with some pretty interesting ones, and that was certainly worth noting. All right, Jordan, take it from here.
I do not like the idea of robot umpires. I like the rule change, some of the rule changes they have this year. Let's not mess with the game in terms of robot umpires because, like Rick said, it's not going to help the game. It'll take a couple of seconds to look down and say, "Oh, that was a strike or the earpiece." But we need to have the human element. The Do not put robot umpires in to do balls and strikes. That's on the umpires to decide. Don't let the robots do it. I know they're doing it in minor league baseball, and like Rick said, it doesn't work. So why have it in Major League Baseball? We need a human element for balls and strikes.
And listen, with me being a former catcher, if they did that, it'd be pretty hard for me to frame. And I used to frame pitches all day long. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggle with the ghost runner, so I understand a lot of the changes they're making. We'll get into those at a later date, but this is one that doesn't have to be made. I won't even comment on it since I said it now. But robot umps, don't need them. Ghost runner, I still wish they'd get rid of it. And the other ones so far seem to be okay, but we'll elaborate later. All right, George.
Yeah, I have had the privilege of meeting three umpires: Rick Reed, Joe Brinkman, and Richie Garcia. And these guys are human beings. They're down to earth. They're not 100% foolproof. We know that. Everybody makes a mistake, but these are real people with real lives, real families, and a real passion for the game. And I'm still miffed that we lost 10 umpires from last year, including 7 crew chiefs that left the sport. We still don't have an explanation why. Could have been a couple of them injuries. Could have been a couple of them old. I'm not sure. But I think it's more to it than that. I think they are disgusted with some of the things that Manfred's trying to pull and some of the things that are going on right now in baseball. But obviously, we lost 10 good guys in the last a couple of months here, or since last season. All that being said, no, I don't want robot umpires either. I don't want to take that human element away from the game.
Okay, lastly, Candy.
So the one thing I can say is, oh my goodness, where do we start? Taking the human element out of sports. My question to you is, we all have had Wi-Fi problems. We've all had this technology problems. Now all of a sudden you're going to bring technology into the game. And what if you have technology problems? And you talk about tainting the game. Well, how can they maybe, let's interfere with this. Let's figure out how to interfere with the system so that more balls, that brings a whole different element that I don't think they're thinking about into the game, that I don't think that needs to be there. It's not a robot that sits. It's a camera that's out in the out. Really? A camera way out in outfield is going to, determine, okay, by height, this is your where the ball is. This is where the strike is. No. Stop messing. Don't get me wrong. They've made some good changes, I think, this year. But don't take the human element out of it. And I get that there are some bad calls out there, but that's why you have review, and you can review a couple of the calls. You don't need to review every single call. If the same umpire is calling balls and strikes for both sides, he's going to be inconsistent for both. Let it stand.
Yeah, we'll go to the chat room again. We'll Candy, why don't you put that one up? Well, Manny Machado got ejected for arguing strikeout on a pitch clock violation today. Well, Manny, get over it, because you know what? You won't be the first. You won't be the last. So it's early. If you're upset now, I'd like to see what you're like come late September. With that said, let's go to our parting shots. Okay, with that, go ahead, Rick, lead off.
Well, what a perfect segue, Will, because that is exactly what I'm going to be talking about is Manny Machado. I've talked about how the Padres are so immature and need to grow up. This is one example. You gave this guy, was it a 12-year contract with all this guaranteed money. He knows about the rules. He don't have to like it. He knows about it. He's in there adjusting his gloves like he's Nomar Garcia Parra. The clock is ticking. He knows that there's a clock ticking, and then he gets called out, and he wants to argue and argue and argue. It's like, grow up, man. You know the rules. Stop being so self-entitled, And for Rendon, if you would let the fans upset you over something like that, you need to get out of the sport. You ever heard of a guy named Jackie Robinson and Hank Aaron? They went through racial discrimination. They were called the N-word probably every single game. When Hank Aaron was going after Babe Ruth's home run record, he got death threats. They were going to bomb his house, and he just played. That is true bravery, not these cowards like Machado and Rendon, who are such babies, who are multimillionaires. Grow up.
That was pretty good, Rick. I like that one. All right, go ahead, Jordan.
With my parting shot. So you look at the NHL standings. Boston right now is 60 wins, 12 losses, and 5 overtime losses for 125 points. 4th team to win 60-plus games in the season. Well, if you look at the history of the teams that have won, 60-plus games, 2 of the 3 didn't go on to win the Stanley Cup. 1997 Montreal Canadiens finished 68-12 for 132 points. They won the Cup. 1996 Detroit Red Wings, who some say are the best team ever, had 62 wins, 13 losses, and 7 ties for 131 points. Lost to the Avalanche in the Western Conference Finals. 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning cruised to a 62-16-4 record, a total of 128, and they were bounced out of the first round. The thing is, though, winning 60 games is great in an NHL season, but you want to win the Cup. The thing for Boston is they're not playing meaningful games right now, and that could be, a bad sign towards the playoffs. You want to be remembered as the team that wins 60-plus and win the Cup. So it's still remains to be seen if they're going to do that, because they could turn the switch on once the postseason comes around and end up winning the Cup.
Well, you want to know anything about the President's Trophy? Ask the Florida Panthers what a difference things have turned out in the last year. So,
well, and actually the Avalanche, I'm glad last year they didn't go for the President's Trophy. They wanted to win the Cup, and they didn't have the pressure of it.
Well, you want to make that comparison? I can tell you right now, winning the Heisman Trophy doesn't mean anything, because I can tell you how many Heisman Trophy busts there have been. So with that said, George, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to talk about something that I probably might have mentioned earlier, but I don't know if you guys all know. The Tigers have changed the clock. They're going to start at 6:40 p.m. now. Now, tell me, these games are two and a half hours, a lot of them. And you're going to have Friday night fireworks? Okay, Tigers, how did you work this one out? You expect the fans to stick around an hour after the last pitch before it gets dark to shoot off your fireworks every Friday night? Come on. Why didn't you at least leave the Friday night games at 7:10 instead of 6:40? Come on. Get with it, Chris Ilitch. You didn't have to make every doggone weekday game at 6:40, but you sure as heck did. Now you're going to make your fans wait. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. They're going to buy more beer and more pop and more hot dogs, right? While they're waiting for the fireworks show. They didn't think this one through, guys.
George, don't they stop selling alcohol after the seventh
That's
inning?
true.
So they're not buying alcohol.
You caught me. That's right, Candy. You can't buy it after the top of the 7th.
Okay. All right, Candy, what's your parting shot?
So can I just say I'm excited about my Milwaukee Brewers. I'm excited for Bryce Trang. Yesterday was Milwaukee's home opener. Bryce hit his first home run His first home run was a grand slam.
Wow.
It was also the first home game for Brian Anderson, who has spent the first 6 years with the Miami Marlins. He went in yesterday and he had a great game. He also said, "It was awesome coming in here in this atmosphere. Playing my first home game in Milwaukee was unbelievable." Bryce might not have had jitters, but he certainly did. Brian, who's played for how many? And let me just tell you, yesterday they won 10-0 against the New York Mets. They're taking it to the Mets again. Max Scherzer was pitching tonight, and the Brewers right now in the bottom of the 8th are winning 9-0.
Wow.
Where was this offense when we needed it last year? I'm just happy it's arrived. I just hope it stays.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, I think the Mets are not doing too well. All right, my parting shot comes from the heart a little bit. Okay. I just want to pass along my get well wishes to San Diego Padres third base coach Matt Williams, who's 57, who was diagnosed with colon cancer in early March and is slated to take a leave of absence from the team after opening day. He's in his second season on manager Bob Melvin's staff. Anybody that knows about cancer, I know a lot of people have lost family members to cancer. My family's no different. So get well soon, Matt. You know, you were a key component of the Diamondbacks Lone Championship in 2001, which I happened to be living in Arizona at the time. So I can speak for all of us. Get well wishes, Matt, to a speedy recovery. And I'm sure that obviously, you know, your health is more important because you'll be better when you get back. So great show tonight. Candy, why don't you take it home?
So if you see that little red subscribe button, please hit it, like, share us, tell all your friends about it. If you'd like to comment on it, share the broadcast, do that. Want to be a guest? Send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise, call Scott at 954-304-4941. And if you'd like to hear the audio version, you can get it on iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcast. We broadcast live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Okay, back to you, Scott.
All right, thank you very much. All right, with that said, Rick, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
You can find me on my website, www.charlottebats.com. We have a petition on there. Please sign it. We want to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte, MLB Charlotte, Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Instagram at Charlotte Bats. I'm on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curdy. And my email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
Rick does a super job here promoting our content on social media. Thank you very much, Rick. Keep up the good work. We enjoy having you on the air 2 to 3 times a week for sure. So talk about an MVP. There's an MVP. I got to joke around with everybody. When I had Dave Barnett of ESPN on earlier, he didn't know GMTA. Great minds think alike, but I figure everybody that comes on my show is going to get that one. And it did catch his attention. Never heard of it. Of course he didn't. I made it up. But boy, it makes a whole lot of sense. All right, I had to get that out there. All right, Jordan, let everybody know how they get a hold of you as well.
You can find me on Twitter at SportsScoop1. I have a blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. Of course, 108 Stitches every Tuesday night. And I'm on various Sideline Sports Network shows throughout the week.
Okay, Candy.
What about George?
Well, he's going to go. Well, all right, George, go ahead.
Over my shoulder here, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air is my book. And in it, you'll find Ernie Harwell, Ray Lane, and Harry Heilman, and George Kell. And you'll also find the host of our program, as Scott Morganroth interviewed Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Connors. The book is loaded with great photos. Even if you're not from Detroit or from Michigan, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. There's a link to it on the Motor City Tribune, which is a part of the South Florida Tribune at the end of my column. Or you can just go to Amazon.com to look for a copy. You can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com and find me on this program and other programs on Scott's network. And you can also on Twitter, I'm available at SandGSports99.
Very good, George. All right, Candy.
What else do you want me to say? Scott's Twitter is at Tribune South. You can catch any of our shows, typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. And now we've added a Saturday show every once in a while, which is if you want to catch, Scott interviewed Mike Jarvis, former FAU head basketball coach, on Saturday before the Final Four. You can look at that. You can catch me Tuesday nights, 7:30, Three Chicks in a Pod or Chicks and Salsa, as well as any of Scott's shows. Wherever he needs me, he pops me in.
And No Limits is starting to pick up steam. I really enjoy doing that. When I get a sports person I obviously want to interview on my own, I do it on Sports Exchange. So I'm looking to bring more and more solo interviews in addition to the complimentary program that we have. So this concludes this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Tonight's episode is called Opening Week Storyline. So hope you can follow us, share, and continue to subscribe. And we appreciate your loyalty for those that are a part of it. And if you're seeing it for the first time, please hop on board, because I'm working very, very hard to go out there and come up with the best content available, so you can make us your home when you get an opportunity. So with that said, on behalf of Candy Ebling, George Eichhorn, Jordan Long, Rick Curdy, and special thanks to Will Vogel and Brian Snow in the chat room, I want to thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, and we will catch you next Tuesday night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.